So today we are focusing on Knowledge Creator. We have two presenters, Kelli and Tracy, and they will share what they're talking about before we split up. But the first thing we wanted to announce is that our fall DTL survey results are available. And so if you would like to view those results, you just need to go to your coaching plan, and they are located on the digital tab just right underneath, and Colby has put those there. And we would really love to go over those results with you, but we suggest sharing them with your admin and maybe tailoring your tech PDs to that data to try and support your teachers with what they need. So that's our first announcement. Second, we have a virtual learning snow day template available. So if you go to our website, Digital Teaching and Learning, and you go to resources, you'll see virtual learning snow day resource. And currently what we have right now is Canvas and how to deliver your snow day instruction via Canvas. And if you keep an eye on this, we are going to be adding Nearpod and Google and all sorts of other ways to deliver your instruction. So just keep an eye on that. And this could be a really great idea. So there's a video there. This could be a really great idea for your PDs in November and December, since that's, the snow day problem time. January even, I don't know, anytime. The next announcement is that we have a EdTech endorsement opening up. Classes start in January, so please sign up if you haven't. It's a really, really great endorsement to get, and the information is right here. You can, that flyer is going to get sent out, and then there's information on our website there. We also have an Instagram. So I would love it if you are not following us to go to Instagram and follow us on Jordan Digital Learning. Our goal is to share really easy tips and tricks every single day that teachers can quickly use and embed into their classrooms. So right now we're doing a Grateful for Google series. We did a Canvas Isn't Spooky series, and we just share really quick tips and tricks that are so fun, and we had a whole Canvas series, so please share that. And this could also be a really great resource for you as a digital coach to get some tech tips out to your teachers that you don't really have to think really hard about, because the video is already made and they're always under 1 minute. So that's a really great resource, so go ahead and go follow there. We also do giveaways a lot, so please go follow there. And our last announcement is that tomorrow's National STEM Day, and at the district we have a STEM lending library that you can check things out. So share that with your teachers, and maybe share that it is STEM Day tomorrow, and encourage them to do some STEM activities and to celebrate that. So Jared, is there anything else that I am missing that we need to announce before we break up into our groups?
No, that was great. We just look forward to sharing data and resources with everybody.
Yep, that's our thing. So we're excited. Okay, so Kelli, do you want to share what you're talking about in your breakout room?
Yeah, sure. So today I am going to be talking about, both Tracy and I are going to be doing the ISTE standard of knowledge constructor. And what I'm focusing on is real world problem solving and problem-based learning.
Perfect. And then Tracy, so if you would like to go to Kelli's, you would stay here, and then Tracy is going to put her Zoom link in the chat. So Tracy, what are you going to be talking about?
So I'm going to be talking about student research strategies and how they can find credible sources, and then how they can be creators. And we're going to do some stop motion stuff.
Awesome. Okay, so Kelli, if you would like to stay in this Zoom with Kelli, and then if you would like to go into Tracy, she sent that link into the chat, and we will have them start in just a couple minutes. So go ahead wherever you'd like to go.
Oh, okay. Serious time. All right. So we're talking about the ISTE standard of knowledge constructor today. And I just want to introduce myself. So hi, I'm Kelli Cannon, and I am a digital teaching and learning specialist. And I'm just going to read the standard to you so you know exactly what we're talking about. Because when I think of knowledge constructor, I think about a bunch of different ways that can be applied. And so this one that I chose to focus on was exploring real world issues. So students will build knowledge by actively exploring real world issues and problems, developing ideas and theories, and pursuing answers and solutions. And when I think of this standard, I think it's like the dream standard. It's the dream way of teaching because you're solving real world problems and you're coming up with answers on your own. So let's go ahead and get into it. ISTE has a bunch of really cool videos on each standard. So I thought we could watch this one. It's pretty short, about a minute long, to see how this looks in various classrooms.
Students build knowledge by actively exploring real-world issues and problems, developing ideas and theories, and pursuing answers and solutions.
Loma Linda University, who's right down the street from us, we're partnering with them. Our students design, 3D print prosthetic limbs or artifacts for young kids in our community. It might only cost them a couple $100 versus $10,000 or $20,000.
Right now, we're kind of focusing on the lower knee because the patient does not have a knee. So right now we're kind of getting the whole frame of it because he uses like a sports prosthetic where it kind of looks like a little spring. So right now we're getting the base of it to where the spring part would actually connect to it. What's kind of motivating me to do this is I wanted the patient to be able to go outside and be able to feel comfortable with himself. Eventually, I want to do this as a career. So I kind of like them getting the experience right now. So it's helping me out and it's kind of getting me used to talking to patients and being able to open up to them and to figure out the problem.
All right. So before we move on, kind of any thoughts that you're thinking right now about what this could look like? You can just unmute yourself if you have something you want to share.
That video was awesome.
Yeah. What is it that you liked about it the most?
I'll turn my camera on so I'm actually talking to the room.
Oh,
I mean, I've seen that happen before where people 3D print prosthetics, but to see high school kids kind of doing that and like their motivation just to help other people, that's super cool.
Yeah, I love that. I love how, he was maybe 15 or 16, but he said, this is giving me real world experience for a career that I want to go into. And even now he was solving problems, a real need that someone had. Any other thoughts?
This is a very high school example. So I kind of wanted to offer something that I saw at a previous school that I worked at. And it wasn't very techy, but it definitely could have become that. But it was definitely a real world issue. We had a major problem with people walking their dogs on our property and leaving little puppy presents, is what my aunt calls them, all over the place. And I'm sure that's not a unique problem to schools, but we had a bunch of kids who were really bothered by it. And so they went to the administration and wanted to try and figure out a way to change that. And I just love that they came up with the idea. And then the administrator just said, okay, what do you want to do? But that could easily have been like a classroom problem. They could have integrated technology or math or well, now there was not a big social media presence back then, but they could totally put stuff out on social media about it. I just think that when it's driven by the kids, it makes a huge difference that they recognize that there are issues that they can solve.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, especially the puppy presents part. I love that. But definitely it's like showing students that no matter how young they are, they still have a voice and they can be a problem solver. And I love how you mentioned that buy-in that the students had. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So of course you can do this without technology, but it always helps to integrate some technology into this, right? So maybe you're like me where you're wondering at the beginning, I wanted to do this with my students and I'm like, well, where do I even start with this? So like was mentioned, you want to start by crafting an essential and a driving question. Okay, so, and I'm going to share this article with you at the end, but I took this from an article from Edutopia, and it was like, well, how do I make a good essential driving question? So the question needs to be engaging, authentic, and open-ended with more than one solution. And so when I think about, like you mentioned, your student buy-in, it's authentic. Like nobody likes getting puppy presents on their shoes, right? Or walking through it or playing, and your ball lands in it, right? So it's something that the students have to really care about. And it's a real problem that they can deal with. And I like how it's open-ended. So there's not going to be a definite solution. So that way it gives students creativity. The next step would be to design a plan for the project. And this is where you'll want to tie in standards, if at all possible. I think that's different between like project and then project-based learning, right? Is that you will want to tie in your curriculum and standards, and you'll want to involve your students in the planning so that they are excited and they have buy-in. And then also integrate as many subjects as possible. So the idea of integrating science and math and maybe social studies and civic involvement and responsibility or social emotional wellness, like those are all different aspects of a project that different routes you can go on. The next one is to create a schedule. So you're going to want to design a timeline and set some benchmarks. So how will we know when we've gotten halfway to our goal, or when we're still going to need more work, or when we're going to be finished? And allowing for flexibility, but you're going to be the one to kind of keep students on task. I think with project-based learning, it's pretty easy to go off on different tangents and different questions. And it's exciting that they're learning more, but you want to make sure that you're kind of always guiding them to come back to the original question. Also, too, like timelines, you might have more constraints. Like you can't spend all day, every day on this project at school. So you'll know how much time you might need for a project like this. Okay, the next one is to monitor the students' progress. So you'll want to definitely give students roles so that they have ownership. I know when I've done group projects in the past, sometimes it's easy to step in and become a leader and kind of bulldoze the other people, or else maybe be a person that's kind of sits in the back and watches everything happen. So in order to make this successful, you will want to design student roles and rubrics. And I would have two rubrics, like maybe a rubric for students to be able to work together and collaborate. So like a working together self-assessment rubric, and then also like an assessment rubric of how you're going to have your project be graded, because I think those are two different issues. And then you're just going to kind of be a facilitator. So you're going to offer resources and guidance, but you don't want to give the students everything, right? We want to kind of help them explore possibilities and be excited with them. Okay, and then you're going to want to assess the outcome, right? And obviously in a project-based situation, then self-assessment is preferred, right? We don't want to have the students do all this work and then we grade it. We want them to kind of self-assess. Well, what did I learn? How did I grow? And then allow them to have some choice and voice in how they want to show their learning, whether it's in portfolios, maybe they want to make a model, like we just saw the prosthetic leg. Maybe they want to make a video or any other kind of artifacts to show what they've learned. So your rubrics might have to be a little bit open-ended too. And then finally, evaluate the experience. So if we don't give ourselves and our students time to reflect, then we're not going to really have learned all we could. So we need to reflect on feelings, insights, and things that could be changed, or sharing ideas and new questions that we have. So kind of like taking it up to the next level. What are we still wondering? What did we learn? And just discussing all of those things, I think really ties it in together. So so something that I love to do is 3D printing. I started doing it a couple of years ago. I got a grant from Donors Choose and from the USBE when they were giving all those grants during COVID. And I thought, I really want to get a 3D printer because I am excited about doing this real world stuff with my students. You mentioned that older students were in the video, but I did 3D printing with 5th graders, and you could do younger if you really help them out. So I did a presentation last year at USET on 3D printing, and I made this poster, but this is just some ideas of how you can use 3D printing in your classroom. And of course, not everyone has a 3D printer, so I'll show you some other ideas. But one of my favorite programs is called Tinkercad. And if you haven't made an account, then I would make an account. It's a free educator account, and I have it open right here. So when you get to Tinkercad, this is your home page. And just in a really quick nutshell, Tinkercad has a bunch of different projects that you can do. You can do 3D designing, and you don't have to print out those designs. So if you're like, well, I don't have access to a 3D printer, like a lot of people don't, then you can still have them design on a 3D plane and you can look at it. You can do circuits, you can do code blocks, you can do a sim lab. And then this here, you can download it on iPads as well and Chromebooks. So I really love Tinkercad because it's just easy and user-friendly. And one of the best places to click is the resources. So if you're like, I've never used this before, I don't know how, there's tips and tricks and a learning center. So like I would have my students go on the learning center, like maybe they want to learn how to cut a hole out of something, but they didn't know how on the 3D plane. Then they would go and teach themselves and then teach each other. And the lesson plans is my favorite. So if you're like, I don't even know where to start, these are some lesson plans you could take and even have students design in like a maker space or in like different crafts and things around a classroom, like creating a wheelchair for difficult terrain and environments. Like, you know, we wouldn't really think about that unless we were in a wheelchair, like how hard it would be to get into different environments, right? Or solar powered. So that might be where your circuits come in. I did this one, design your dream room with students. That was really fun. Reinvent the shopping cart. So all of these things are just different ideas to kind of get you started. Like, how could I have my students make a real world, face a real world problem and then make a model? I saw a student last year make measuring cups in different sizes because he had a hard time understanding what they look like. So he kind of pieced together his own. I had my students redesign classroom furniture and then we 3D printed some of it. So just what that might look like post-COVID, you know, our hubs and our flexible seating is really big for students right now, and they might want to redesign what their classroom looks like. So these are just a few ideas to get started. Obviously, if you have a problem in your school community that you want to solve, then that might be where you start. So there might be more buy-in. Oh, Jared wrote in the chat that he and his son 3D printed his Pinewood Derby car one year. Ooh, on Tinkercad. Love it. And Tinkercad is really cool. Since I have a minute, I'll show you. So I'm going to click on 3D design just to show you what that looks like. So you're going to click start tinkering if you want to make it. If you want your students to make it, like you can make your own class. Like here, we can make our own class. And then you just go in and you start playing with different shapes and things like that. So maybe I'll pull this up really quick while we're watching. I have one more video I want to show. I'll come back to that. Okay, finally, another example, and this is from our science department here in our district a couple of years ago. They were coming up with project-based learning solutions for Utah Lake. So I put this one in, and you have access to all of the Google resources here. But what the science department gave us was they said to 5th graders, we have too many carp in the lake, and we had them read facts about it. So we kind of integrated comprehension because we were talking about what did we read and what does the research say and why are there so many carp in Utah Lake? And we took field notes. We passed around a bottle of water and looked at what was inside. We tested the pH levels and just talked about like what caused things to be able to survive. And then we designed a real world solution for how to kind of clean up Utah Lake. And that was really fun because there were a lot of different solutions. I remember one of my students was like, let's 3D print a giant net and like take all the carp out. And then another kid said, well, we can't do that because we need the material for this, or we don't have the resources for that. So it's kind of fun having them learn from each other. So finally, in the next few minutes here, I want to show you a movie that I found from Edutopia, and this is having to do with math. So how students took a problem that they had at their school and then transformed it into a solution.
By showing them that what we're doing in the classroom is affecting their community and helping their community, they see its value. And so they're willing to buy in, even if the academics get a little hard, they're willing to work a little harder.
Any problem isn't really a problem, it's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to learn something. They may not be the hero that rides in and solves the problem completely, but they can have a piece of it. They can be part of the solution.
This could be right over there.
You know, with our agriculture program and tying in the chores that they have to do, they live that every day.
We are actually building playgrounds for the animals because we've found that they have been trying to jump over the fence.
The kids really started to think, they're kind of bored. Why are they acting this way? Why do they keep getting out?
They hardly have anything to play with. And sometimes they'll get on the watering containers.
The one rain barrel, when it got knocked over, the goats started jumping over it. It's like, well, I like that. What else could we make? So that's where we came up with the idea of maybe they need some playground equipment.
Ladders here, slides here. Let's see what we can design. Kind of tie your engineering piece in and problem solving.
We had to draw our own design, and it had to be from everybody's idea.
We're trying to build the model like we have it on paper, but like in 3D.
And they're going to build this model, and then they're going to get to see the actual thing built.
Professionals will pick the best one to be put inside the barnyard.
I had them tell me what materials they thought they needed.
So they're already collecting stuff. Do we have
popsicle sticks,
glue?
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see what they're going to do with peanut butter. The other thing that we might want to provide them is a model animal so that they can get this to scale. This is how we're going to scale our model. If you are making something for the goats or sheep to play on, this should probably fit on it. When it's something where they know it's going to be out there in the schoolyard, they're totally engaged with it.
Right.
Because there's also a sense of pride. Like, I helped do that. I mean, they're going to have this cool product at the end, but they hopefully will also remember we built models, we worked as a team.
They would need a feeder on there.
I got to use a saw. I learned how to use a measuring tape. You know, I know what a 90-degree angle looks like because it's over there on that playground for the goats, and I see it every day I'm outside.
Well, one of the standards for first grade is that students are aware of things around them.
Get the skin off. Oh.
We have been tagging butterflies for several years. And then in the spring, we didn't see many butterflies around here. So we've talked to park rangers. They have seen that this area was low in milkweed.
We talked about, what's happening with the milkweed habitat loss and our mowing patterns, the climate shifting, all of that that's playing in, and they really understood it. You guys are going to help us this year by helping to plant their favorite plant. Milkweed. Milkweed. Why do they need milkweed? They lay their eggs. Give me 5. All right.
We've read both informational text on butterfly migration, fictional text, social studies. We have tracked butterfly migration on a map, all kinds of things, math, when we put the milkweed in the ground today.
You guys tell me which one is 3/4. All right, so just about like this, all right? And then you're gonna lay a seed right on top of that. Can you find one? Here, spread them out. They really understand that it's not about just what's happening at Crellin or even in Garrett County. You know, you can ask them, do the tornadoes in Texas right now matter? And a second grader here will tell you yes, because that's where the monarchs currently are. Good job. You need some seeds?
I think they're starting to feel like the things they think matter, the things that they do matter, even when I'm 8, even when I'm 9.
Because they're so invested in it and really engaged in the process, it really cements it. It's something that they'll remember.
Yeah, connections to their outside world only make learning more meaningful and more purposeful and more lasting.
We're teaching them to be people, important people who can do anything they want to do.
Okay. All right. So I think I pulled it up here on Tinkercad. So I'm going to go over here real quick and show you really fast, 1 minute, how Tinkercad works. Okay. So you're going to create a design, or you can download a design if you already want. You can tinker or play with it. So this is kind of what it looks like when you open up your Tinkercad. And so you just have a 3D plane here. And the nice thing is, like, you have basic shapes, and then you can do a few other fun things. Like, I had a student who made a duck last year. And we have some sunglasses, some creatures, just a lot of fun things over here students can start to play with. And then over here you can change your plane view. So anyway, if you never intend on 3D printing, but you still want to build things in 3D, I think this is the best app for you. So just kind of to wrap it all up here, I love the video we just watched because it said, like, we're teaching students how to be people, right? And that's our whole goal of education, is to teach students to care about the community and to be respectful, good citizens and good people. And so I think that project-based learning is the way that we can do this. So I gathered up a few different resources for you. So I can put the Canva link back in the chat if you want to look at these. Empowering kids to be part of the solution and getting started with PBL. Those are articles. How does PBL work is kind of what we've been talking about, another article. And then we have a lot of what we call PCBL. So it's competency. So personalized competency-based learning, which is the same thing. We have a website from UEN about that. So if you click on that one, it will take you to a PDF that kind of explains how we're doing this in Utah and what we can do to further this. So how we can incorporate it, the different components that it is, and what we've talked about today. So something fun that you might want to look at, and it's got effect sizes here so you can see what your biggest impact will be. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Are there any last comments or thoughts anyone wants to share? It's okay if not. No worries. Oh yeah, Jared.
Lots to think about. That's why I was like, I've written down a lot of ideas I have, but nothing that's formulated.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fun to see Tinkercad again. It's been a little bit since I played with it, but we've had a lot of fun with it over the years.
Did you do 3D printing, or did you do like a circuit, or what of the...
Yes.
Yeah, all of it. Which one of the tools did you use? There we go.
Like I say, that Tinkercad was the place where we kind of played with creating a Pinewood Derby car because we wanted to see if we could do it. So it was fun.
I love that. It's cool because it just kind of gives students like that 3D feeling.
I will tell you though, the wood cars were much faster than the 3D printed car. Although we did win best looking car. So there you go.
Oh, nice. That's great. Has anybody seen this done well, or tried it in your classroom for good or for bad? Okay. Maybe if you do, get in touch with anybody on the digital team, we'll come help you if you need help with the tech tools. Let us know what you're doing, any fun projects. I think we'd all love to be a part of it. So Well, that is it. Thank you everybody so much for coming. Casey, I don't know if you have any final words.
No, just live long and prosper. And everyone have a great Tuesday.
All right. Thanks so much.